Welcome back to Old Charles, the channel where we explore the fascinating world of coins, their history, and their value in today's market. In this video, we're diving deep into the United Kingdom 1 penny coin from 1989. Whether you're a coin collector, a history enthusiast, or just curious about the spare change in your pocket, you'll love what we have prepared. So, let's get started. The 1 penny coin is one of the most iconic coins in British coinage. The modern decimal penny was first introduced in 1971, when the UK shifted from the old system of pounds, shillings, and pence to a decimal-based currency system. Before that, the old penny was much larger and completely different in design. The 1989 1 penny coin is part of the decimal series and was struck in bronze, with a weight of 3.56 grams and a diameter of 20.3 millimeters. On the obverse side, you'll see the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Raphael Maklauf. This was the third definitive portrait of the Queen used on coins between 1985 and 1997. She is shown wearing the George IV state diadem, which is a crown traditionally worn for the state opening of Parliament. On the reverse side, you'll find Christopher Ironside's design of a crowned portcullis, a design that links to the Houses of Parliament. This image has become symbolic of the penny coin and remains highly recognizable. By 1989, the UK had already been using decimal currency for almost 2 decades, so the penny was a well-established part of everyday life. Billions of these coins were minted, making them very common in circulation. However, like all coins, their value today depends on mintage numbers, rarity, and condition. So what is a 1989 UK 1 penny coin worth today? In most cases, a standard circulated penny from 1989 is still worth only face value, 1 penny in the UK. These coins are not particularly rare, as millions were struck for circulation. However, collectors do look for coins in uncirculated or proof condition, and that's where values start to rise. A circulated 1989 1 penny coin, generally worth around £0.01 to 10 pence GBP depending on where. A brilliant uncirculated coin can sell between £1 and £3 GBP to collectors. A proof coin from the 1989 proof sets may fetch £5 to 10 GBP depending on the set and condition. It's important to note that some coins graded by professional services in top condition, such as MS65 or higher, may be valued higher by serious collectors. But for the most part, this coin is considered a common circulation coin rather than a rare treasure. When it comes to coin collecting, condition is everything. A 1989 1 penny coin found in your pocket change is likely worn, with scratches, fading color, or marks from circulation. These are interesting as historical keepsakes but don't carry much collector premium. However, if you have a coin that looks as if it just came from the Royal Mint, shiny, no scratches, no discoloration, then you may have what's called a brilliant uncirculated BU coin. These are much more collectible. The highest demand is for proof coins, coins specially struck with polished dies and mirror-like finishes. Proof versions of the 1989 1 penny were included in collector sets issued by the Royal Mint and are always valued higher than circulation strikes. Collectors also pay attention to minting errors, such as misstrikes, double dies, or off-center strikes. If you ever find a 1989 penny with such an error, its value can be many times higher than the regular price, sometimes reaching tens of pounds depending on rarity. Now let's take a step back and look at the world in 1989. This was a year of incredible change. The Berlin Wall fell, symbolizing the end of the Cold War, and the UK under Margaret Thatcher was experiencing major political and economic shifts. Coins like the 1 penny were a part of everyday life during this era. Children collected them, shopkeepers handed them out as change, and people saved them in jars at home. Though tiny in value, the penny represented stability and tradition in the UK's currency system. For collectors today, holding a 1989 penny is like holding a small piece of history, a reminder of the late 20th century and Queen Elizabeth II's long reign. So to sum it all up, the 1989 United Kingdom 1 penny coin is generally common and not worth a fortune, but it has huge historical and cultural value. Circulated coins are mostly worth face value, while uncirculated and proof examples can be worth a few pounds to collectors. Its true worth lies not just in money, but in the story it tells about Britain's decimal currency and life in the late 1980s. If you have one of these coins, hold on to it. It may not make you rich, but it's a wonderful part of numismatic history. The history of the British penny is one of the longest and most fascinating in world coinage. To really appreciate the 1989 1 penny coin, we need to go back almost 200 years. The very first English pennies were introduced under King Offa of Mercia in the late 8th century, around AD 785. These early pennies were made of silver, hand-struck, and were large in value compared to the pennies of today. Back then, a single penny was worth a lot of money, enough to buy a sheep or a large amount of goods. Centuries passed, the penny remained central to the English and later the British currency system. By the Tudor period, pennies were still silver, and they often carried the faces of monarchs such as Henry VIII and Elizabeth I. In the 17th century, under Charles II, copper pennies were introduced. This was a major turning point because silver was becoming too expensive for small coins. From then on, everyday people carried copper and later bronze pennies in their pockets. By the Victorian era, the penny was a large, heavy bronze coin about 30 millimeters wide, much bigger than the modern penny we know today. It had Britannia, the female personification of Britain, on the reverse, and Queen Victoria on the obverse. This large penny was used daily throughout the British Empire and became symbolic of Victorian life. The old penny continued right through the reigns of Edward VII, George V, George VI, and even into the early years of Queen Elizabeth II's reign. However, by the mid-20th century, the system of pounds, shillings, and pence, where 12 pence made a shilling and 240 pence made a pound, was seen as outdated and complicated. That all changed in 1971, when Britain finally adopted decimalization. On the 15th of February 1971, known as Decimal Day, the old large pennies were withdrawn, and the new decimal penny was introduced. The modern penny was much smaller, made of bronze, and valued at 1/100 of a pound instead of 1/240. The design of the new decimal penny was created by Christopher Ironside. Instead of Britannia, it featured the crowned portcullis with chains, a design linked to the Palace of Westminster and a symbol of Parliament and government. This design became iconic and lasted for decades. Now, by the time we reach 1989, the one-penny coin had been in circulation in its decimal form for 18 years. The obverse carried the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, but not the young portrait from the 1970s. Instead, it showed the third definitive portrait created by Raphael Maklauf, introduced in 1985. In this image, the Queen is portrayed wearing the George IV state diadem, the crown she wore during the state opening of Parliament. This portrait was used on coins right up until 1997. The 1980s were a period of high coin production in the UK, as pennies were heavily used in daily life, from vending machines, to bus fares, to everyday shopping. The 1989 penny, struck in copper-plated bronze, was one of these mass-produced circulation coins, serving millions of people across the United Kingdom every single day. Even though it was a common coin, the 1989 penny sits at an interesting crossroads in British coinage history. Within just 3 years after its release, the Royal Mint would stop producing bronze pennies and instead begin making them out of copper-plated steel in 1992, due to rising metal costs. That means the 1989 penny is one of the last full bronze pennies, which makes it a little special for collectors. So, when you hold a 1989 penny, you're holding not just a small coin, but a direct link to centuries of monetary evolution, from the silver pennies of King Offa, to the massive bronze coins of Queen Victoria, through to the modern decimal era under Queen Elizabeth II. It's a reminder of how money evolves with society, technology, and economics. When it comes to the 1989 United Kingdom one-penny coin, condition plays the biggest role in determining whether it is just a simple piece of pocket change or something that a coin collector would value highly. The majority of 1989 pennies you'll find today are in circulated condition. That means they've been used in everyday life, handed out as change, stored in jars, dropped in vending machines, or carried around in purses and wallets. Coins in this condition usually show signs of wear such as scratches and nicks *** from bumping into other coins. * loss of shine ***. The original mint luster fades after years of handling. Discoloration or toning ***, often turning brown or dull due to exposure to the environment. Edge wear ***, where the rim is no longer sharp and looks smoothed down. Circulated 1989 penny is typically only worth its face value. Collectors may still keep them for historical reasons, but they don't command high prices unless there's an error or something unusual about the coin. Now, if a 1989 penny has survived with only light wear, where the details of the Queen's portrait and the portcullis design are still sharp, then it falls into the extremely fine category. These coins show only a small amount of handling, usually slight flattening on the highest points of the design. Such coins are more attractive to collectors because they are much harder to find compared to average worn pennies. They may sell for slightly more than face value, but their real appeal is that they showcase the design almost as it appeared when first minted. A brilliant uncirculated, BU, or uncirculated coin is one that has never entered circulation. It still retains its original mint luster, that shiny, almost glowing surface that coins have right after being struck, For a 1989 penny in BU condition, the Queen's portrait will be crisp, with every detail of the diadem and hair visible. The portcullis design will have no flat spots or signs of wear. The fields, the flat background areas, will look smooth and reflective. These coins are far more desirable to collectors, often coming from Royal Mint sets rather than everyday use. Their value is typically £1 to £3 GBP, which is much higher than their face value, simply because collectors want pristine examples. The highest quality coins are the proof strikes, which were not made for circulation but specifically for collectors. Proof coins are struck using special polished dies and often struck multiple times to give an incredibly sharp, mirror-like finish. A proof 1989 penny will have a mirror background with a frosted design. Sharp details, almost like a work of art. No scratches, marks, or signs of circulation. These are usually found in proof coin sets sold directly by the Royal Mint in 1989. Proof coins are highly prized and can be worth £5 to £10 sterling or more, especially if kept in their original packaging. One important aspect to mention is mint errors. Sometimes, coins are struck with mistakes, such as being off-center, having double designs, or missing details. Even a circulated 1989 penny with such an error can be far more valuable than a perfect coin. Collectors often pay a premium for unusual coins, since they are far rarer. Condition is also affected by how the coin was stored over the years. Bronze pennies like the 1989 coin are especially vulnerable to oxidation and tarnishing. If a coin has been kept in a damp or humid environment, it might develop green spots called verdigris, which lowers its value. On the other hand, coins stored in protective cases or coin flips can remain in near-perfect condition even decades later. To give a clearer picture, collectors often use a grading scale to describe condition: good, G, ***, heavily worn, major details faded; fine, F, ***, still worn, but design is readable and visible; very fine, VF, ***, some wear, but most details visible; extremely fine, EF, ***, very light wear, sharp overall design; about uncirculated, AU, ***, almost no wear, slight. Handling: mint state, MS/BU, ***, no wear, just as it left the mint. Most 1989 pennies today are in fine to very fine condition, since they were heavily circulated. But a small percentage remain in BU or proof condition, and those are the ones collectors actively seek. Ultimately, condition drives demand. A coin in worn condition may have little monetary value but still holds historical interest. A coin in pristine, proof-like condition, however, becomes a collector's gem, often displayed in albums or cases. When evaluating a 1989 UK 1 penny coin, the first question every collector asks is, what condition is it in? Because that alone can mean the difference between it being worth just 1 penny or several pounds.